Today is January 6, 2022. Coincidentally, this happens to be the first anniversary of a rowdy protest event that took place in the nation's capital about a year ago. But this presentation is focused on Part 16 of The Rational Mind, A Guide to Rational Living, focused on becoming your best self. My main message: a rationalist acts as his best self to get best results. A rationalist knows that to get the best results from life, he must act as his best self, especially when the circumstances warrant it. Now, everyone has a best self, including you who are listening to this presentation, and you can display it at will when there's a reason to make a positive impression on others or to perform at your highest level. Young people in the dating game are usually on their best behavior when in the presence of the opposite sex. To attract a mate, one must make oneself attractive, and that means being on one's best behavior and sometimes even dressing up. Whenever a person acts as their best self, they will get best results. A rationalist applies himself when the results he seeks are important, and to get best results, he must act as his best self, focused on his actions and performing them mindfully. Proposition 1. When a person acts as his best self, he gets best results. When performance is important, become mindful of your actions. Your best self is the one that is less inhibited and more confident, with self-assured, rational beliefs. You get best results, and you get better with preparedness and skill development. In other words, you can get better over time, and your best self gets better over time if you work at it. When performance or attaining good outcomes is important to you, you can get best results simply by acting mindfully as your best self. In other words, be on your best behavior, do your best work, especially when it counts, in order to influence other people, perform well in a competition, or simply to get more work done at a higher standard faster. The key to acting as your best self is simply mindfulness, remembering to connect the need for best results to the actions you must take and deliver them up to the limits of your current skill level. If you want to perform at even higher levels, you must develop your rational mind by ridding yourself of irrational beliefs, such as you're not good enough, and then develop those skills that are capable of delivering higher performance. So to do better, develop the ability to do better. Proposition 2. A rationalist strives to act as his best self, but without becoming a perfectionist. To strive for perfection is an irrational motive to prove one's self-worth. Perfection is the enemy of good enough. And in most cases, good enough is often good enough. Don't go beyond that unless there's a compelling reason. Perfectionism is costly in terms of overdoing what a task is worth. In other words, spending more time and effort to get little or more additional gain. Wanting to do your best work on any project is a noble end because your workmanship is a reflection of not only your best self, but also a reflection of your self-concept. However, striving for best results must not be exaggerated and overdone to the point of becoming a perfectionist. A perfectionist is motivated by boosting a weak self-esteem to prove himself and to others that he is good enough, and not necessarily with the motive to just perform well. To guard against getting trapped in the irrational perfectionism game, such as to prove yourself good enough, before beginning any project or even a routine task, you should decide in advance how you would know a job is done to a reasonably satisfactory degree. Otherwise, there is a risk of getting caught up in the irrational vortex of perfectionism, wherein the ending of a task takes on an irrational tone. Proposition 3. Doing is the key to getting results, not necessarily doing it to perfection. So don't allow the quality of a job to become a symbol of your self-worth. Not every task is worth your best effort, but you can still act as your best self. A job is done when you've completed all the predefined success metrics, which you can define in advance so you know when to quit when you're done. To build self-confidence, become a person of action. The less active you are, the less confidence you have due to a lack of a successful track record of achievements. The more chances you take in creating the life you want to live, the more you learn from your experiences. You can also boost confidence by acting as if you were confident. The more you act as if you were confident, the more confident you will feel when you start acting. When you act as your best self, you are likely to get best results, and good results boost confidence. By knowing in advance the outcome you seek, you can proceed mindfully as your best self and then stop when you reach that predefined outcome. You'll avoid becoming trapped in the perfectionism game of going beyond the good to the perfect. You're rationally motivated to prove your self-worth when rationally you're already perfectly fine just the way you are. My final message: when performance is important, act as your best self. It is much easier to be and act as your best self when you possess high self-esteem. However, your self-concept or self-esteem seems contingent upon doing or performing to an unusually high standard of perfection, then you likely have some irrational beliefs that need to be replaced. A rationalist has developed beliefs that allows him to accept himself as he is now, even though he may wish to improve himself in the future. A rationalist may be far from perfect and far from the person he wishes to become, but by choosing to act as his best self, he can get reasonably good results now. Likewise, you can get better results by continuing to develop your skills, but in the meantime, you will get better results just by acting as your best self. Now, that's all for now. Remember to stay positive. You'll be happier, healthier, and live longer.